Let's move on to another fabulous company. I do like using the word fabulous, and about this sector, I'm sure to use it more than a few times. Mr. Price, Mr. Price, Mr. Price. Remember, this one is South African, homegrown. The brand orientation and the product, I'm sure people will be familiar with. You can't go into any mall in this country without stumbling over either one of their Mr. Price clothing stores or one of their Mr. Price home stores. We're talking about a group with a 67.7 billion rand market capitalization, a 27.6 price to earnings ratio, dividend yield of 2.28. This is one of the companies that came out of the Durban region, although to be honest, it really incorporated some other brands, in particular John Orr's, which really old people will know from the department store days here in Johannesburg. But Mr. Price kind of emerged and then took it over, and then they started consolidating the brands and rolling out the ones that they liked. This is critically what I was talking about before, where they take what is hot, say for example in jeans this year, they get them manufactured somewhere up the Pearl River Valley in China. You go to the procurement guys in China, you say to them, listen, I want a pair of jeans that look like this. The Chinese say to you, do you want to pay $2 for the pair of jeans, or 5 or 10 or 15? Because we can give you that exact pair of jeans for all of those different price points. They look identical. Clearly the one that costs $2 is a lot less well made, and the fabric is a lot thinner than the one that costs 15. But you can take your pick. Obviously, Mr. Price emphasizes the cheaper value, higher turnover value items. Understand the way that young people wear clothes these days. It's not like old people like me that buy one suit and then use it for 3 years. We're talking about the approach here where you buy something for just about every party that you go to on every other weekend. And maybe you get an opportunity to wear them a couple of times over the forthcoming weeks. That's nice, good and well. But really what you're looking for are seasonal clothing items which are extremely cheap and which you can constantly check in and go back to the store. It's disposable clothing, effectively. Disposable clothing. Mr. Price also has a division which sells sporting gear. And you know what I'm like when it comes to the sporting apparel theme. I absolutely love that, because we know that people have a concern about obesity. There's a lot more young people wanting to exercise, get to the gym. So they developed brands like Maxed, M-A-X-E-D, Maxed. I don't know which is the correct version, but that is a Mr. Price homegrown brand. Mr. Price, of course, also very good with its marketing. It supports quite a lot of the sports teams. It's a very visible brand in our public environment. Targets a lot of its advertising, obviously, at young people. Does offer in-store credit, but it isn't a core part of the business. Some of the other companies we're going to talk about today have been more active in store card credit extension. Mr. Price has been much more measured, and I think that's worked well for them, because, of course, a couple of years ago there was real drama in that space. What else can I say about them? Fabulous management team. Stuart Bird, the current CEO, came up through the ranks. Previous CEOs like Alistair MacArthur came up through the ranks. Laurie Chiappini came up through the ranks. You know, it's just been a hallmark of the company that they've developed very good management and very good operational people internally, and they continue going from strength to strength. So yes, perfectly positioned for the way that the retail apparel market is going, and definitely also a hot stock for me. There have been people who've been concerned about the international entrants coming into the market. So in our malls, in the really super ones, you will have noticed things like Zara, which is an international Spanish-based company. Inditex, Gap is coming. You know, companies like that, which are, of course, very big players in their home markets. But I must say, I'm not too concerned, because the way that our clothing retailers have operated, they really are market-dominant players, and they can afford to give away a couple of % market share to Topshop and Zara and these kinds of people. Okay, good. So we've been hot on Woolies. We've definitely hot on Mr. Price.